Namaste and Satnam Yogis. I'm Tracy and this is Yoga Union, where people unite in a quest for wellness of body, mind, and spirit. Whether you're a yoga virgin or a seasoned practitioner, Tracy's Yoga Union has a place for your mat. So let's roll those mats out and get started. Today we're going to focus on opening up this hip area, which is also connected to our second chakra, the Svadhisthana, the sacral chakra. Its color is orange, and it's the center here, the belly button and below, encompassing all around this hip area. It's our pleasure center, our center for creation and creativity. So set an intention for today's class on creativity. What is it that you want to create? What is it that you have created? What creations are yours? As we get started, if you have a yoga block, grab that prop. If you don't have that block, you can use a book. We'll be using that yoga block for our pigeon to help level up our hips, and also for some other postures just to help extend the reach of the arms and so on. So we're going to get started first on our back with some warm-up. Do pay attention to how these warm-ups feel to you at the start of our class, as we will do these same warm-ups at the end of our routine, and that way you can make a comparison to see if you've opened up some areas in the hip or second chakra of your body. So let's relax down onto that mat, taking just a few moments here to allow that body to rest and relax, to sink into the mat. And at the same time, allowing that mind to quiet. Coming into our breathing with some deep inhales through the nose as we fill up that low belly. Followed by that long exhale, also through the nose, bringing that belly button back to the spine. The color of this chakra that we're focusing on is orange, so you could even inhale the color orange, focusing on this area as you inhale, and on an exhale, you could send that beautiful orange color down to the toe tips, out to the fingers, and up to the crown. So let's begin those warm-up stretches, really straightening out through that left leg, the sole of the foot. Really, if it were on the floor, it'd be planted, right? So toes are pointing up to the sky. Hug that right knee into the chest. Toes are also flexed here. And let's just begin to rock that right hip back and forth with some gentle movements here. Opening up and warming up, awakening that hip area on the right side. On an inhale, straighten that right leg, sole of the foot to the sky. Point those toes, feeling a stretch through the shin. As we flex, feel that stretch in the calf and behind the knee. Some more pointing and flexing, and then make some circles at the ankle. Reverse those circles. Bend that left knee, cross that right leg over it. We're going to hug those knees into our chest and grab onto our ankles. This is reclined cow's face legs. And you should be feeling a nice stretch in that right hip. So we're compressing the knees into the chest, but pulling the legs from knees to ankles apart. Exhale, release that down. Keep that left knee bent. Place the right ankle on that bent knee and allow that right knee to open up. And let's increase that stretch a bit. Hug that knee in. Intertwine the arms. Interlace those fingers somewhere below the knee. Pulling in. Maybe even applying a little pressure with that right elbow to help open up that right knee. And as we release down, we'll straighten out that right leg. Hug that left knee into the chest, both toes flexed. And let's rock that left knee back and forth for some gentle opening and awakening of the hip on this side. On an inhale, straighten that left leg, sole pointing up. And we'll point. Flex the toes. Working the calf on that flex. And the shin on that point. And some circles at the left ankle in one direction and the other. Bend that right knee, cross the left over it, hugging those knees into our chest and grabbing onto ankles for our reclined cow's face legs. We should now be feeling some stretch in that left hip. Breathing in to where it's tight. Maybe spreading that beautiful orange color to those areas. As we release, keep that right knee bent. Left ankle on that bent knee, opening up that left knee. And we'll increase that stretch a bit by hugging that knee in. Interlacing those fingers below that right knee. Maybe using that left elbow to help open up that left knee a bit more. As we release down, we can hug those knees into our chest. Maybe draw a few circles with those knees. Reverse reverse that direction. And we'll take a few rock and rolls on the length of the spine. Gives it a really nice massage. And using that momentum, we'll come onto all fours for a little cat-cow. Remembering to line up your knees and your hips and your wrists and your shoulders. And let's flow with that breath. Inhaling to lift the chin and drop the belly. Exhaling as we round the back and tuck that chin. So try and allow the movement to last the entire length of the breath. So nice and slow. And bring that back to neutral. We're going to step that right foot forward on the outside of the right foot. Coming into a lunge or lizard pose. So we're going to let that right knee drop out to the side. Our foot is coming onto the outer edge. And we want to try and keep that heart center open. So feeling a nice stretch on the outer part of our right hip. Always being very mindful and careful of that knee. We'll inhale, bring that foot in, moving into a nice low lunge, arms up overhead. And then grasp onto that left wrist and pull and stretch over to the right, increasing that lunge and our stretch here in that left hip. Inhaling to center, we'll start to straighten out that right knee. Coming back. Nice stretch in the back of that right leg. Trying to keep those hips as level as possible. Just a little release here. We're going to bring that right leg behind the left. And sit back in that cow's face again. And we'll work a little left brain, right brain. Let's inhale those arms up. Our left knee is on top. So let's bring that left arm underneath the right. Bend at those elbows. Bring those palms together for eagle arms. And then surrender into this posture. Hinge and pull forward. Use that inhale to start to unwind. And as you release, let's push up into a nice downward dog. Probably pedaling those heels to work out the backs of those legs. Any movements or stillness here in the dog that would feel good. Coming back on the chin or tabletop again for a few more rounds of that great cat-cow. Inhaling, we lift. Exhales that round. Bringing that spine and back to neutral. Repeat those moves on the left side. So Step that left foot outside of that left hand. Starting to come into that low lunge. But we're also going to allow that left knee to open up to the side. Our foot is resting on that outer edge. You could even, if you needed a little extra reach here for those hands, place them on your block to keep that heart center open. So we're feeling a stretch in the outer portion of that left hip and through our right hip here in the lunge. Inhaling that back up. And coming into that low lunge here. Grabbing onto that right wrist and stretching over to the left. So we're increasing the lunge and getting a nice stretch in the right side body. Inhaling, and as we release, we'll start to straighten out that left knee. Coming back a bit, trying to keep those hips level. Left toes can leave the mat. Just a small release to allow that left leg to come behind. And we sit back in our cow face, legs on this side. Being mindful of those knees. So our right knee is on top. Let's bring that right arm underneath, bend the elbows, bring those palms together, and then surrender this posture. Use that inhale to unwind, and as we release, move into that downward dog, helping to create some more stretching, some more warming up in the body. Or if you need some stillness right now, find that stillness in your downward dog. And you'll probably want to have your block on the right hand side at the top of your mat. We'll inhale that right leg, float it up, and then bend that right knee. Trying to make that knee point up to the sky. Exhale, bring that through, setting that knee up by the right hand for our pigeon pose. And here's where that block can help level out those hips. So we want to try and keep our hip points facing forward. Once you feel like your hips are nice and steady, then again you can surrender that pigeon. Coming back to those thoughts of creativity and creation. Inhaling that beautiful color orange into your second chakra area. And as you exhale, spread that color from fingertips to toe tips. As we lift up our pigeon here, we'll prepare to stretch out that left quad a bit. Or you can just stay in our lifted pigeon. You want to stretch that quad, bend that left knee. And see if you can grab onto those toes with your left fingers. Breathing into this stretch. Nice gentle release. We'll move that prop out of the way. Over to the left side. Push back into that dog. And either move or keep that dog nice and still. And prepare for pigeon on that left side. Inhaling that left leg. And then bending that left knee. Opening that hip. Exhale, bring that knee through, sitting it up by that left hand. Using that block to help keep those hip points facing forward. And when those hips feel good, and surrender. Inhale, lift up. And either keep this position, or we'll stretch out that right quad, bending that right knee. And bringing those right fingers back to grab onto those toes. Making that release gentle, controlled. Moving that prop out of the way. And back to that great downward dog. Let's walk hands and feet together. Inhale, halfway lift, nice straight back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, arms out, up, overhead. Exhale as we bring those palms to heart center. And we'll come to face the long edge of our mat. Wide stance here. And let's point those toes to the outer corners. We'll inhale those arms up, overhead. And as we exhale and bring those palms to heart center, we'll also bend those knees into our goddess squat. Hands to hips, we'll inhale, exhale. Let's dip that left shoulder to the right knee. Inhale to center. Exhale, reverse that little twist here in our squat. Inhale, center. Exhale, straighten out those knees. And let's bring those toes back to face the front of the mat. And we'll go through a nice warrior sequence. So left toes in a bit. Right toes now facing the short edge of that mat, but let's keep those hips facing the long edge. Inhale those arms halfway up. Exhale, bend that right knee. Lining up knee and ankle. And then finish off that warrior two by looking out over the fingertips of that bent knee. Being careful not to hinge forward, so we're coming up straight out of those hips. And let's extend into that side angle, so we place our elbow on the bent knee, arc that arm over, stretching out from fingertips to the outer edge of that back leg. Inhale back into our warrior two. Exhale as we reverse that warrior. Inhale back to our warrior. Straighten that bent knee. Exhale, hinging over to the side as we move into our triangle. So hips have remained facing the front or long edge of that mat this whole time. Look down at those front toes to help inhale and release up. Release those arms down. And let's bring those toes to face the long edge of the mat again. Hands on our hips with a nice big inhale here. Exhale as we start to hinge forward, first with that flat back. And now we can begin to release and let that head hang. Your hands, they could come to either sides of the mat or grip onto your ankles. You'd rather keep them under your shoulders. Or you could move those fingertips in the opposite direction and start to walk them underneath the legs. And let's bring those hands underneath our shoulders. Do a little runner stretch here. So let's start to bend that right knee and walk on over our hands to that right side. And we'll reverse that stretch, so bending that left knee, walking those hands over to the left foot. Inhaling that back to center. Hands on our hips. As we lift and prepare for that warrior sequence on the opposite side. Might need to heel toe those feet in a bit. So right toes come in a bit. Left toes now face towards the short edge of that mat. Hips still facing the front. Inhale, arms to a T. Exhale as we bend that left knee. Lining it up over our ankle and finishing off that warrior by looking out over the fingertips of that bent knee. Moving into that extended side angle, so stretching out from fingertips to toe tips. As that left elbow rests on the bent knee. Inhale back into that warrior. Exhale to reverse our warrior. So right hand is resting on that back straight leg. Inhale back to that warrior. Straighten that bent knee. Exhale over and into our triangle. Again, being mindful of the fact that through all of these movements, our hips have been facing the long edge of that mat. And for release, look down at those toes. Inhale to bring it on up. Exhale those arms down, toes back to the front of the mat, and heel toe everything in. Maybe shake those knees out a bit, work those hips out some, and we'll do a few balance postures before we move down to our bellies. So starting our balancing first in mountain stable. Steady mountain on 2 feet. Breathing in that color orange, especially to our second chakra area. And then as we exhale, let that color orange spread down through the legs to the toe tips, out the arms to the fingertips, and up through the crown. Let's place some more awareness and weight on that left leg. We'll inhale those arms up and exhale, palms to heart center as we bend that right knee into our one-legged mountain. Modify that one-legged mountain by opening that right knee out to the side. And then begin to rest the sole of that foot at your calf. And inhale those arms up for tree. As you exhale, release down, shake it out a bit, shake those hips out, and back to that mountain. Notice right now we're a little unbalanced. So we'll move all those balanced postures by first placing some more weight and awareness on that right leg. Inhale those arms up as we exhale the palms to heart center, and bend and lift that right leg into our one-legged mountain. Modify that by opening up that knee. Begin to place the sole of the foot there at the calf as we inhale those arms up for our tree pose. And on your next exhale, release that down. Shake it out a bit if needed. And we'll come to the top of our mats and use a quick sun salutation to move down to our bellies. Inhaling, arms up overhead. Exhale, bring those palms through to heart center and hinge and fold forward. Inhale to come halfway up. Exhale, forward fold. Step or hop back to our plank pose. And then lower down onto your bellies. And here we'll prepare for locust. And we'll do locusts in 3 variations on each side. So the tops of our feet are nice and flat on the mat. Our chin will be resting on the mat as well. And I'm going to place my palms and arms underneath my legs for a little extra support. And to begin, really point out through those right toes. And begin to inhale and lift that right leg, keeping the hips on the mat. And we'll bend that knee, Flex those toes. And leave it here, or you can fly that locust. So begin to bend that left knee as well. Stretch out through that right leg. Those hips are now off the mat. Chin is still on the mat. As we exhale, make that release slow and controlled. As we bring that awareness now into that left leg, pointing out those left toes, allowing that left leg to float up off the mat. The hips stay, the chin stays. Bend that left knee, flex those toes. And keep it here, or fly that locust on this side. So the hip points do come off the mat now. The chin is there, the right knee is resting on the mat. The left leg is straight, resting on the sole of that right foot. And that release is slow and controlled. And let's get those knees wide as we push back into a wide-legged child's pose. So not only stretching out those hips a bit here in the child's pose, but as always, trying to create some length in the spine. Inhale to release when you're ready. And we'll come to a straddle seated position. So the backs of the legs, they're engaged, they're touching the mat, pushing out through the soles of our feet. We'll do a little twisting and stretching here. So let's use an inhale to really straighten out that spine. And exhale, start to twist to the right. So we're using those hands as our levers to hold us and pull us into the twist. Finishing that twist off by turning that chin to look over that back shoulder. As we begin to release, let's hinge and fold over that right leg. Inhale to lift that up. Exhale, let's twist over to the left side. Remembering to finish that twist off, turning that chin to look over the back shoulder. As we release, we'll hinge over that left leg. Inhaling and coming back to center. And as we exhale, just start to walk those fingertips in the center, finding a nice edge here. And maybe trying to walk those fingertips out a bit more. And as you inhale, a nice slow release, walking it in. Bringing those knees out, or legs out front, and shaking them out a bit. Maybe a nice little massage on the sides of our knees. And we're ready to move on to our backs for some bridge pose. So as we move on to our backs, let's keep those knees bent. A minute or two to transition. Allowing that body to feel fully supported by the mat underneath you. And as we're starting to slow it down here, that breath, we can come back into those nice big inhales and long exhales. Lots of creativity in the color orange. And so bring those heels as close to your bottom as you can. Arms nice and tight in at your sides. Maybe tuck that chin a bit. And on an inhale, we lift those hips first, then that low back, mid back. Usually finish that bridge off somewhere at the bottom of our shoulder blades. If you want to clasp hands and inch those arms under the body. Now, one last challenge for our hips. So let's place the right ankle on that left knee. Let that right knee open up. And then really push up through those hips in the bridge. Release that right leg. Reestablish that bridge. And then use an exhale, nice and slow, to release one vertebra at a time. And when the hips are back down, you can hug those knees into the chest. Maybe rock from side to side. And let's prepare for bridge on using that extra challenge for our hip on the left side. And that inhale, we lift the hips, low back, mid back, clasping fingers, tucking those arms under. And our left ankle, we'll find that right knee, opening up that left knee, pushing up in the bridge through those hips. Come back to the bridge first with both feet planted. And then release those fingers. Begin to come down one vertebra at a time. And the hips are on the mat. Another hug of those knees into that chest. Let's
Keep that right knee in, straighten out that left leg, and begin to rock that right knee back and forth. So come back to how these stretches felt at the start of our practice. Things moving a little bit more easily. Inhale, lift and extend that right leg and point and flex. And then circle at the ankle. Bend that left leg, cross the right knee over it. Bring those knees into our chest and grab onto our ankles. Spreading the legs from the knees to the feet. Release that down. Left knee is bent, right ankle on that bent knee and allowing that right knee to open up. Hug that knee in. Interlace those fingers underneath that left knee. Pull in. As we release, we'll straighten that right leg, hug that left knee in, rock that left knee from side to side. Inhale to straighten and extend that left leg as we point and flex the toes. And then circle the ankle in one direction, the other. Bend that right knee, cross the left over it. Hug those knees in and grab onto your ankles. And release down. Right knee is bent, left ankle on that bent knee, opening up the left knee to the side. And then hugging that knee in, interlacing fingers underneath the knee, pulling in, increasing that stretch. And as we exhale, we can straighten those legs out a nice distance from one another. Let those feet flop open. Arms also a comfortable distance from the body with the palms facing up. Finding ourselves in Shavasana. Maybe start to wiggle fingertips and toe tips. Knowing that science tells us that when we quiet the mind, we increase our creativity. So allowing yourself that quiet time whenever needed. And maybe noticing after that, being just a little bit more creative by having provided that rest and that quiet for body, mind, and spirit. Namaste and peace, yogis.